All of my senses, they allow me to know whatever's going on in my time and space. And it's so surprising when it's all in the right place. And we finally back together again. Finally back together again.
Welcome to Rams Radio RHS, a place to remind us where we started, how far we've come, and to leave a legacy of good people doing good things.
Finally back together again. Back together again, back together again, back together again. Back together again. Back together again, back together again.
Hello, everybody. This is Jeff Kelly, and I am welcoming you here to Rams Radio on a Wednesday morning. This is our first show, so we might be a little bumpy, and that's okay. We have some wonderful guests. I've been speaking with them over the last week, and Susan May has come on with us, and you all know Susan because she does that wonderful archive of music of all those years. We have 64 years of Roger graduates, and Susan does from 1957 to 1999. And the wonderful thing is if you've looked at the history, she tells us all the things that happened in your particular senior year. And also we have Jim Holley, and Jim is quite a storyteller and a lot of fun to talk to. Last week we talked, and he brings up so many memories. You're going to be surprised when you think, oh yeah, I forgot about that or whatever. And so we're going to be talking to Jim later, but he's here today. And jump on, Jim, if you have any questions or anything you want to say, and then we'll start with Susan. I got a little bit of housekeeping for you before we start. Um, First of all, I want to say I hope you're all feeling well this morning and that life is treating you well. And if it isn't, remember, there's a lot of us oldsters on here. And we have to remember that the game of life is a mental game. And so keep thinking good thoughts and keep moving that body and get everybody going. This other thing is I have lined up. It's so funny. I just called last week people and said, hey, do you want to be on Rams Radio? And I'm already booked through the 16th of June and just a few phone calls. People are interested in coming on and sharing their thoughts and their ideas. And like next week, I have Jeff Sod from the class of 85, and he's bringing on Harold Howell, who is the athletic director of Rogers High School with an amazing athletic program that they've created. So they'll be on next week. And then I'll share more and more the people that will be visiting us. So if you're interested, we have an email. It's called ramsradiorhs@gmail.com. We would love to have you send an email and tell us all about what you'd like to share. And there's all kinds of things. We have a couple gals that are coming on that will be talking about their art of photography. Um, and George Tamber is coming on. George was a foreign correspondent. We spoke for an hour, and stories. You can't believe it. So it's going to be a fun ride, and I'm going to do this for this summer to see how it goes. And I'm also looking for hosts, people that want to host the show themselves. And so anyways, it's ramsradiorhs@gmail.com. And go ahead and send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to share my screen real quick because I don't want you guys to miss this wonderful archive that is available to all of you of the music. And you can go right here to our page, Rams Radio, and there's a little, what do you call that? Search bar. And that search bar, you can go in there and put like your class. I was the class of 1969, and you can put that in. And then you just scroll down, and there's all this music and history and all of these things. These are all things that Susan has put in here, as well as some of you have posted things in here too. So you can go right to your class of 1969. And let me see. Another way to get there is to go to topics, and there is an amazing archive of music and all kinds of things that you can see. You see the classes 85, 6, it goes all the way through to 1957. And so just to help you get around to different things. Also, we have announcements if we have something interesting we want to share with you. There's an archive of announcements. I think Coach Reel's talk is in there. There's this post about Toledo. Everybody just flipped out on this post. I had probably one of the most uh, busy posts that people have looked at. And we all should be blessed. We grew up in Toledo. It's an amazing place. And we're going to have some people on that do a history of Toledo, and we'll do more. So those are just some helpful ways to get to your classes and to the topics. So let me get out of the share here. And then, so we also, at the end of this session, we have a game we're going to share with you that Susan's put together. It's really cool. And I'm going to start right away now with Susan. And Susan was in my class. We sat next to each other in the Rampage. She goes, that's where I started to become alive and started talking to people. And yeah, that was a crazy class. We had so much fun. We all got on a train one weekend and went with Miss Perry to Chicago and just had a blast. We went to some kind of conference or something. But anyway, Susan is class of 1969 graduate. And Susan, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me as your guest today, Deb.
Well, you're my special guest because we wouldn't have probably Rams Radio without you, because I don't know how many posts you've done. I was trying to find it this morning to see how many posts that you've done. And it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Do you know how many posts you've done?
Well, the other day you thought it was around 197. So we're going to say about 200.
Actually, I think it's more than that, because I went on and it's
okay.
a lot more than that. It's more like hundreds.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because each year you did at least 4 posts each year, and you did the year before, or the summer before everybody's senior year, and now you're doing May of their senior year.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically the spring of summer year.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna get on to say to find out more about that. But let me welcome Jim. Oh, Jim, you're leaving me? Where were you going, Jim?
You caught me.
You can turn your video off if you want to. You need to go somewhere. But I just wanted to welcome you too, Jim. And I'm looking forward to talking to you in a few minutes. And then we'll all share our thoughts together, okay?
Okay, well, thanks for inviting me on.
Oh, it was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it. So, does somebody have a phone on?
that's me. Sorry.
That's okay. Can you get it off? You got it? Okay.
Yeah, this came off.
It's just part of learning how to do all this. It's no problem. I'm glad.
Right.
So Susan, what did you do after Rogers High School?
Well, I went to Bowling Green State University, graduated in 1973. I had my first full-time, as I was in education, had my first full-time teaching job down on the Tex-Mex border in Texas. Came back was down there for one school year, came back, got a job here in Mount Vernon, Ohio, teaching. I taught at a vocational school, high school, for 2 years. Then I taught for about 15 years, special education at a state institution for the developmentally disabled. From there, I taught it. I joke about it. I got laid off from my job at the institution for the developmentally disabled, but I got a job in the prison system. So I would joke and say, I lost my job. I had to go to prison. So anyway, but I wasn't an inmate. I was a teacher. So
Yeah,
I did.
and that had to be so interesting to work with those
I
guys.
was my favorite, believe it or not, it was my favorite job.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Did
it's,
you
I was,
bring your music to those guys?
yes, and sometimes what I did is I was a literacy coordinator. So I supervised inmates who tutored other inmates.
Okay.
And I was allowed to bring music in, and guys really enjoyed it.
Oh my
listening
God.
to it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, I know you're really active in your Methodist church and you're
right.
in active there.
I'm a Sunday school teacher, head of the education department. We do outreach. We do a food produce giveaway program in the spring and the summer. I'm involved with that.
Nice.
So yeah, it keeps them busy.
And tell me, where exactly is Mount Vernon in Ohio? I forgot.
Mount Vernon, we're about right smack in the middle of the state.
Okay.
We're between Mansfield and Columbus.
Okay.
So yeah, right about in the middle of the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that prison place was in Marion, Ohio. How far away is Marion from you?
It was 45 miles,
Oh,
so it was
okay.
about an hour each way to get to work. I had to get up early.
Yeah, you did.
I had to be there at 7:30 in the morning, so we're talking about getting up at about to 5:30, quarter to
Yeah.
6.
I was trying because I was thinking Marion was more over by where Ohio U was, and I thought, oh, you really had a giant, but it's on
No,
75.
yeah,
It's
it's northwest of Mount Vernon.
okay,
So,
cool. All right. Well, now we want to know, how did you ever get this music thing going in your life? How did that all start?
I've listened to radio and rock and roll pretty much from the time I was 5 or 6 years old. I had a good friend whose parents actually brought her rock and roll records, so we would listen to those in her bedroom, and we were playing. And so then I've always listened to it. I started collecting probably real seriously collecting in the mid 1980s. I got a book called the Book of Rock List. And in the book were lists from years between 1955 to 1980, which lists the best songs of that year, the most influential songs of each of those years. And I was bound and determined I was going to get every single song on those lists. And some of them were very difficult to find on like albums or CDs or tapes. So I started having to look for 45s to get some of these songs, and that kind of just took off from there.
Yeah.
And I have a 45 record collection of probably about 5,000 records.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Jim, you have a 45 collection too, don't you?
Not that big.
In a little while, I want you guys to share your sleeves, because I know you have some really interesting ones. Susan was showing me some of hers the other day, and I thought, wow, everybody would love that record, 45. So from the 45s, then it seemed like you decided to really move into music. Didn't you go from the 1900s then to the 1999s?
Right. What I did is I started collecting different, once the internet came on and you could go to like YouTube and other sources, it would really made things easier for me to find the music that I was looking for. But I did it started out doing this, the rock and roll years, like 1955 to 1999. Then I decided to expand it. So what I had a project that took me about 5 years to complete. I did, and I did in chronological order songs between the beginning of the year 1900 through 1999.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a lot of books, and I have like a rock and roll music type library at home, which I gave me a lot of information when these songs came out. And it's really interesting to listen to the music and how it kind of parallels what was going on in society and in our culture and in politics and all that. And you can just hear how things progressed through the years and what the attitudes of people were and what they were into and what was,
Yeah.
So.
You know what I loved is when we talked the other day is how you were saying how these different rock and roll bands were influenced by different bands. Like I love the way your mind works. Like you thought, well, who influenced Elvis and who influenced the Beatles? And so
Right.
you really went into depth about that too, didn't you?
Yeah, because I would listen to a group or a singer, and I would think, well, I really enjoy their music, and who influenced them? Where did they get their ideas from? And then it just takes you, it's like I've said before, it takes you down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because you just, and then you appreciate that they were influenced by artists, musicians, even before rock and roll was a thing. You can trace rock and roll all the way back to African American spirituals, for example.
Yeah.
It's there's so many branches that you can go off on, and that really made me appreciate different types of music.
Yeah. And what's your favorite type of music?
Oh, it's like that's like asking me what that
Your
would be
favorite
like
child
asking
is, right?
know which day of the week.
right, and don't have children, but yeah, or who my favorite student was, or well, jazz is a big one, blues, early R&B, and then sometimes it just depends on my mood and what I want to listen to.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Well, one of the things that I absolutely love that you do is the history of the senior year that you're focusing on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where does she get all this information? And there's so many things that trigger your mind, like right now I'm loving like the products that are coming out. You put like this year, these products came out and I'm going like, oh, that's when that came out. Oh, that's that older, just some of those things you think they've always been here. And then you recognize that, oh, that's when they came out, or the cars. And then I love the price of gas because my little high school girlfriends, we all had jobs, but not, much. And so we would get in the car, we had a glass jar and everybody had to throw their quarters and stuff in there. And I thought, at this time where I live, it's $4.59 a gallon of gas, So I'm like, what did we do? Did we have enough money for the gas? But when I looked at one of them the other day, I think it was for my year, it was 33 cents a gallon. And I thought, oh yeah, we went far on that jar of glass jar.
Well, a $5 bill could fill up a tank of gas. Gas.
It was amazing, and then my family was in the grocery business, Kelly's IGA. We had a grocery store, and to look at the different prices of things, I'm like, it's just amazing. It's just amazing to me, the prices of things. We have chickens, and so we sell our little chicken when people want a dozen or something for like $9 a dozen. And I was looking the other day, and I think that the eggs were like 39 cents a dozen. I thought, oh, we've gone way up on eggs. But those are such fun things. So how do you find that information? And what makes you decide to put something in?
Well, you can find timelines of these different years. So I go through there. I go somewhat to Wikipedia. Sometimes I will do research beyond the basics. So to give our people on Rams Radio some little bit of background, and I try to make it pertinent to what was happening in this country, how it impacts the United States. I don't do a lot of foreign news, I guess.
Yeah.
But this brings back memories of and then it puts things in perspective.
Yep.
We look at what we're going through in these times. Heck, there were some bad times back when we were going to high school, and some tense situations when we were coming up.
Yeah.
So helps put things in perspective.
It does, and I love it. I think it's such a great opportunity for people to look back, and it just jolts your memory. And sometimes I look and I think, oh, we had it so easy. Life was so much more simple then. But then I was a kid. I didn't have the responsibilities of an adult either. But anyways, I can't tell you how thankful I am, because you kept Rams Radio going when I lost my voice and I wasn't feeling good and all that. Every day, Susan would post some beautiful music and history, and I can't thank you enough. And that's why I asked you to come on first, Susan, because you really kept Rams Radio going.
Well, you're so welcome. I was happy to do it. I really enjoyed doing it.
I can tell.
And I want to thank the people who responded to my post and my music and your kind comments. And
yes.
I hope I brought back some good memories for you. And then I hope that the ones, if you weren't familiar with some of the songs I put on, I hope that you learned some new songs.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I thought I never heard that. I actually went to YouTube and I played the whole album, and I can't tell you right now what that was. But yeah, it really stimulated interest. And, I love that people, put things down. And I'm telling you, there's a ton of people that don't, hit the like or hit the post, but they're listening and that. So I really appreciate that. One more thing that I want to share with people, because I love this. Susan is a baseball fan. And tell them what you've done, Susan. This is so fun.
Sure, I have a bucket list of, I want to see every single Major League Baseball team play. I guess you could play in person. It doesn't have to be, as long as I see them playing in person, I can check them off. So I've seen every American League and National League team play live, except I think I'm down to about 3 or 4. I've been to different baseball stadiums. I mostly go, of course, to the Red Stadium or the Indian Stadium, but I've been to Wrigley Field. I've been to San Francisco, Texas, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh. So it's that's my bucket list, and hopefully I'll get the rest of those teams checked off here in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And I love Susan's independence. She goes, oh, I just drive up to Cleveland, get on the train, take it to the stadium, go, and she's done all this, independently. And it's just, I just love it. And that really helps all of us to say, you know what, we got to get out and do more and do things. My kids always say, Mom, you need to get out more. And I always say, well, I've been out, but seriously, to have a goal like that or a bucket list, I think it's good for all of us. And I just wanted to share that with the audience today, Susan, because I thought that was such a fun thing that you've created. You've done a wonderful job. Anything else you want to share, Susan, before I move on?
There's a little bit about how I get how I pick my songs out for
this
radio. Okay, I use the billboard books. I use one book in particular that will tell when songs were at their peak of their popularity. So for example, if I'm doing songs for May of 1981, I'll check my book, and I pick out songs that I'm familiar with. I just don't pick out any song. Because not all songs are equal. Not and what I've learned through the years, that just because the song was popular and high on the charts doesn't necessarily mean it's that good of a song.
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah.
so I pretty much every song I put on, I'm very familiar with, and I would recommend that you listen to it and check it out. I don't
Yeah.
try. Yeah.
I love
So,
that. Well, the other day you played the boxer. That's Simon and Garfunkel, I think. And
mhm,
I've always heard that song, but I never knew it was called the boxer. And I really
yeah.
listened to because I think as a young person, I don't know that I always listen to all the lyrics and everything. Is usually the beat and the rhythm, or whatever, what was popular. But yeah, I really appreciate that. And I appreciate, like you say, oh, this was at the top 300 or top 100 or whatever. And another fun thing that I love that Susan does, because she really is organized. She's got this whole tech thing going, and she has a random number app. So she
Right,
spins that random app to decide what year she's going to do.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I love that. That's great. Okay, Susan, we're going to move on. And if you have any questions for Jim, please jump in. Okay.
Sure.
Jim, thank you so much. I love your background. I can't think of a better way to have music than have all those guitars sitting behind us. How many guitars do you have?
Uh, 7 or 8, maybe, not too many. All my vintage ones that were really valuable are no more.
Yeah, send them
I was
on.
smart enough to hold on to them. I wish
Yeah.
I would have, but I didn't.
Well, Jim is a graduate of 1971, and Susan, did you go to Glendale School?
No, I didn't move to Cross Gates until my freshman year in high
Oh,
school.
okay,
So,
okay. Because Jim went to Ryder and Glendale, which many of us did, and McTighe, and then of course Rogers. And he's and your wife's name, Jim. I didn't get your wife's name. What is her name?
That's Debbie.
Oh, well, that's a good name.
I thought you'd think so.
Did she go to Rogers?
No, she went to wait
Okay. So, and Debbie, and you've been married for 44 years. You live in
45 years. Yeah.
45, good. And Temperance, Michigan is your home. And you have 2 children, right?
2 kids, 5 grandkids.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So what did you end up doing after Rogers?
Well, I ended up having to go in the military. I went in the Navy for 3 years. I got my draft number 2 weeks after high school was over, and it wasn't good. And are you still there?
Yep, we're there.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I had a late birthday. Actually, I probably could have very easily been in the class of 70, but I moved from Indiana to Ohio, and I didn't start school. I had an October birthday till the following year. So I think we graduated late that year because there was a teacher strike at the beginning of the school year, 71. So we got out like in mid-June, and July 1st, I got my draft number.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was number 36. So I knew I couldn't make any plans. So
Yeah.
I was stationed in Long Beach, California, and the ship came back from Vietnam and was supposed to go back and never did. So I kind of got lucky in that respect, and we trained reserves up and down the West Coast, and it was good.
Good
Good
for
time.
you. Good for
And
you.
then I started working in factories. I worked at Owens, Illinois, in Levis Park, and then I worked at Teledyne for about 8 years, and then I worked at Ford for 31 years.
For
And
Ford.
retired a year and a half ago from Romulus. I commuted
Nice.
an hour each way up to around. We made the Ford Focus, the Ford Ranger, and now they're making the Bronco. So
Nice.
that was a good career.
Did you pipe in music when you were working?
Oh, gosh. No, I never was much of a headphone guy, like when I
Yeah,
was working or
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But all my friends, they heard it all the time. And they were very supportive all the time. I was writing my music and recording my CDs and stuff. They were very, very supportive
That's
for the most
great.
part, and it made it a lot more fun to go through it.
Did you play music in school, like at McTighe and Rogers and that?
I played in a lot of bands back in, yeah, in the early, I probably was about 13 when I started. I know I played in junior high and in high school. Uh, Unfortunately, I wasn't real dedicated to stick with it. I dropped out and never played anything for better than 20 years. And I just started again. I was probably close to 50 when I started playing again.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
then
great.
I got an offer to get in a band. I played in a oldies band for about 4 years called the Knobs. And that was back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And then from there, it was like gangbusters, writing songs. A couple of the other guys got me started, and we kind of went crazy. But going back to the early stuff, we played in a lot of those garage bands back
Yes.
in the 60s. And when I was in the ninth grade, I remember we were going to be on local television. Um, Bob Kelly was the top disc jockey in Toledo, and
Yeah,
he had a
Bob
TV show
Kelly.
called Let's Dance, and it was like the poor man's version, Toledo version of American Bandstand. Kids
Okay.
dancing and him out with his microphone, and he would have local bands on, and it was filmed over across from St. Charles Hospital at a
Okay.
little place called the Hullabaloo Scene.
Oh
It
my
was in
gosh.
a strip mall. So we were all excited. And we were telling all our friends we were going to be on TV. And I can even, uh, so back in those days, the technology wasn't that great. So they had to turn your microphones down when you sang so you couldn't hear yourself.
Uh-huh.
Well, you should probably never try to do a Bee Gees song when you can't hear yourself sing because we sounded terrible. We were a little flat. And I remember
Oh,
coming back to school on Monday and just hiding my head and thinking, "Ah, I don't
oh,
want anybody, I hope nobody watched it." But it probably wasn't as bad as
oh.
I thought it was. But um, I found out later that the tapes don't exist anymore. I would love to see that. But back in those days, they didn't archive things. They just taped over them.
Oh, did they?
And
Yeah.
so nobody that I know of has a copy of it.
Let's
But
Dance. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Did that last very long? I don't remember it that well. Let's Dance.
no, I wasn't on maybe, it doesn't seem like too long,
Yeah,
maybe a
yeah,
year.
yeah.
Uh, but then the name of the band that I was in was called the Black Light.
Okay.
And I was telling you the story about how I found the tape after about 40 years in my basement of us. And my wife and I were going through a trunk. And so I found this little tape, 3-inch tape, and it said Black Light 67 on the back of it. So I found a place that could turn it into a CD in Maumee. And so I took it over, and I was just, it's probably the highest moment I've had with music was getting this back because I hadn't heard it in over 40 years. I didn't
Yeah.
even know what was on it. And I remember taking my dad's little tape recorder with a wired little microphone on it, took it to practice, and we stuck it in a different room in a closet. And so, I mean, it sure couldn't sound very good, but you can hear all the banter back and forth between us and the giggling and the silly
Oh,
stuff between the songs. Well, I got it back, and I literally, it was in Maumee, and I drove, before I would plug it into my car, I drove over to Cross Gates and I drove around in circles through my neighborhood, and I listened to it about 4 or 5 times. And I was just, it was just like reliving the moment. And I drove by, we recorded it in Cross Gates. Uh,
uh,
and if Jim Foltz hears this, we used to practice and about 2 houses away from him on Colony. And I don't remember, I wish I could remember their last name. I remember they had twin girls, and I think their last name started with a K. but if he can help me out, that would be great. But I
Yeah.
know that they lived a couple houses apart, and we practiced in the basement. And the one twin girl's boyfriend was in the band, and he lived with him in the basement.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
How fun.
it was a thrill, and there was like 5 songs on it. And you know, the quality, like I say, was not the greatest, but the nostalgia was
Oh
fabulous.
my God, what a memory. How much fun. And you know, Susan and I were talking about that too, about the because I was telling her about your garage band thing, and she said you could walk through cross gates and listen to different garage
Oh
bands.
yeah.
I
After
didn't
the
know that.
Beatles hit, everybody wanted to be in a band.
That's
Everybody
true.
tried, you know, and
Yeah.
I gotta say one thing. There was a tremendous amount of musical talent at Rogers High School.
Yes.
I can go from Larry Hutchinson to Eugene Block to Frank Smith to Terry Nash to Mike Carpenter to the Callahan brothers to gosh, I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of people. Denny Gorsuch, Kevin Teschner. A lot of people played a lot of different instruments, and our paths all crossed at one time or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a great
Well, you
time to
know,
play music.
I was talking to George Chamber this weekend, and I was telling him about you, Jim, and he said, "Oh yeah, the Battle of the Bands," and he had a band too with
Oh,
George, and he graduated in '68, so you might not cross paths as much, but it was George Chamber, Frank Sterniola. Oh gosh, now I've forgotten. I didn't write it down. But anyways, he said they won the Battle of the Bands one year, and I said, "Oh, that's
oh,
so funny," because I
great.
remember you saying you were a runner-up one year too.
Oh, well, that
with
was
that.
that was 2010 when I started playing again. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
that's great.
that was a
That-
solo thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's so much fun. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and you were telling me about Eugene Block, which,
Hmm.
I always remember Gene Block as being this very quiet guy in our class, and I think he went to Glendale and all of that. But tell us a little bit what happened to Eugene.
I met Gene back when I was just starting out, and the first time I met him, I knew he was the guy I wanted to play in a band with. He
Mm,
was he lived by Allied Chemical down
yeah,
Glendale behind
yeah,
Southland Shopping Center.
yeah,
And I literally waited for him to get a guitar because he was kind of pretty poor, and his dad got him a job at Mercy Hospital washing dishes, and he got a Gibson Skylark guitar or a Skylark amp and a Melody Maker guitar, and we started a band. And he was way above all of us even back then.
wow,
And he was dedicated, and our first band was together, and he went on to I believe he went to Detroit first and played in a group called Marcus Malone, who made an album. I know he was on American Bandstand a couple times with one of his bands, Holley, Go Lightly, and some other people he played with through the years. He
wow.
went to California, and I saw him one Christmas, and I asked him what he was doing. He said, "Yeah, I'm playing in some bands out there, no big deal." He says, "We play Foreigner, we play Steely Dan." I'm going, "Oh, okay." So then a little later, I find out that he is probably a union, very well-known pickup musician. Well, when big musical acts go through, they hire ringer musicians to go on tour with them. So I heard through the grapevine that he went on tour with Tina Turner and Rod Stewart and Joe Cocker. Well, after he went on tour with Joe Cocker, evidently Joe wanted him in his band. So he
Wow.
played with Joe Cocker all the way, I'm guessing, a dozen years, maybe, till the very end, till Joe
Yeah,
passed away.
yeah.
I got a call one time, one of those calls where I was out in my yard picking weeds out of my front yard or something, and my son came out and said, "Hey, Dad, somebody's on the phone." So I came in, and I hadn't talked to Gene in, I don't know, 30 years. I didn't know what he was doing. So I get
Yeah.
a call from one of his friends. I don't know if you know Jim Hamilton. He was a friend from the neighborhood.
Okay.
Gene's one of Gene's best friends. So I get a call, and it's one of those calls where you answer and they go, "Is this Jim Holley? Did Jim Holley went to Rogers High School?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, this is Jim Hamilton." And I said, "Hey, Jim, how you doing?" He says, "Hey, Gene's going to be at the zoo tonight. And I just wondered if you wanted to go. And I said, what, he's going to be at the zoo. Yeah, he's in Joe Cocker's band and they're playing at the amphitheater tonight.
Oh, how
So
cool.
he and I went, and I had all these little Polaroid pictures. One of them I sent you of us on the train tracks
Yes,
on the light pole.
yes.
Well, we had gone, that was behind Heather Downs Golf Course. We went back and had a bunch of pictures taken.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had all these pictures and they were like Polaroids. And I took them to show him because I hadn't seen him, like I say, in over 30 years.
Yeah.
And it started raining. I mean, it was pouring and I had this little plastic poncho on. And I remember sticking those pictures under my armpit, kind of down, trying to keep them dry. And they were sticking together and everything else. And we waited, and then we waited and waited after it got rained out. And they finally let us go backstage. And it was we weren't back there 5 minutes. And he says, I'm sorry, guys, got to go and hop on a bus. We're going to Chicago. Got one picture taken, probably said 5 words to him. And that's the last time I've ever seen him face to face.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I keep contact a little bit with him on Facebook, but not much. I know he's out in Portland, Oregon, I think.
Well, hopefully we can get him on one day. You know, who knows? You know?
Yeah, he's, I tell you what, I did see him again they played at the Seagate Center right after 9/11 with the Guess Who. And I tell you, he's a phenomenal musician. I mean, he's
that's wonderful.
Top notch. Yeah,
Maybe
I'm
we
proud
can
to say
get a
I ever,
video.
yeah, I'm proud to say I played with him. We had at one time, we had a group started that I was really excited about with Frank Smith, Terry Nash, myself, and Gene. And I played bass at the time, and it didn't last long, unfortunately, but my gosh, with Frank and Gene both on guitars, and Frank had such a high voice, he could sing anything.
Yeah.
I think we could have been so good. I mean, but it didn't last.
Yeah, but you got that experience. I mean, you got that experience, and it adds to your life. You know, what an amazing thing.
Yeah, we had
Terry,
some moments.
this is somebody else. Terry, we need to see you too sometime. You and Rita.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him since high school.
Yeah.
Our paths crossed very briefly.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you so much for sharing those stories and that history and everything. One of the things I want to talk to you two both about is your collection of 45s. And I know you've been collecting too, and you were going to show us some of the things that you have with you, and Susan too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we show you some of them?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm unlike Susan, I'm more post Beatles era, so I don't go back too much beyond that. I try to get a lot of albums that have never been opened from the 60s, ones that I kind of grew up with. One of the last ones I bought was a sealed Standells album with Dirty Water on it.
Oh, yeah.
Which which kind of hard to find. Sealed Manfred Man.
Can you hold them up a little bit higher, Jim, so we can see them?
Yes.
Yeah. Which one is that?
That's
Steely
Manfred Man.
Manfred Man.
This is the Dirty Water Standells album. Sealed. Red Rubber Ball, The Circle, sealed. Love and Spoonful, sealed. Daydream. Like I say, most of them are 60s.
Is that the Beatles?
My girl Nancy Sinatra, I gotta have her Boots Were Made for
I
Walking.
love it. So where do you find those sealed albums like that? Is it like shows?
Most of those you gotta buy them on eBay or something. You're not gonna find those anywhere. But I collect 45s too, and picture sleeves, and there's 5 of these Moby Grape sleeves off of their first album, and I have all 5 of them. Took me a while to find them. Screams, I got a few of those.
Oh my gosh.
Nice.
Screams.
This is one of my favorites, The Music Machine,
Yeah.
which did Talk and People and Me. This is one of my favorite sleeves, the Garage Band. One of my favorite bands, the Blues Magoos. The Ronettes.
Oh my gosh. Susan's nodding. Yes. I'm totally lost.
Beatles.
The Beatles.
I have that one.
I got about 22
No,
of
wait a
their
minute.
sleeves.
No. I don't have that one. I have one
wanna know a
similar to
secret?
that.
Yeah, I have all the common ones. The only ones I'm missing are like Ain't She Sweet, and of course Can't Buy Me Love, which is, if you ever see that one, it's worth probably $1,000 beyond me. But all the common ones I pretty much have found. I just I get lucky sometimes at the stores, but most of the stuff I've had to wheel and deal on eBay. And then I got Power Raiders. This was one that was only sold through GM, I think. It was like a special products thing. But I got a bunch of those are some of my favorites.
Thanks for showing those to you. How about
Sure.
you, Susan? Do you have something to
Well,
show us?
I'm very impressed with Jim's collection. And that's I'm a little envious.
Oh,
Good job.
well,
So,
What-
so
you
I'm
wanna-
gonna go ahead and, you want me to go ahead and show you what I
Yeah,
have?
yeah,
What
show
I
us some
have?
of them. Yeah,
Okay, can you see this okay?
little bit. Is it Elvis?
This is
Oh, yeah.
Elvis. This
Yep.
is from the 50s. And Jim probably knows this, that the sleeves, the picture sleeves are usually more valuable than the records are themselves.
yes.
So this is Elvis, All Shook Up, which is one of the songs I featured on Rams Radio for the
Yep.
class of 1957, I believe. I have that one. Here is a founding father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry.
Oh, wow.
This one is probably more from the mid 60s. Jim showed a Beatles sleeve. This is a sleeve from an extended play called Souvenir of Their Trip to America.
Huh.
So
That's a valuable one.
this is a hard one to find
Yes.
too.
Yep.
Yeah. And then getting into, okay, here's another 60s Beatles, Yellow Submarine.
Mhm.
Oh, I'd love that one.
Okay, this one is from I love 50s and 60s R&B. This one is, I actually got the records signed by one of the members of the group where I saw them a few years ago.
Oh, neat.
So this is kind of special to me, this one.
And we had a chance to play with the Drifters.
Did
Uh,
you really?
Yeah, I just kind of had forgotten about it. I was briefly in our Buddy Holley tribute band, and we
Okay,
played at the Mommy Indoor Theater.
Mhm.
yeah.
And we used to like open up for some of the nostalgia acts,
Mhm.
and we played with the Drifters and I think, was it the Cadillacs? One of the real early doo-wop
Oh,
bands.
right, Cadillacs, they go way back.
Yeah, and I think somewhere or another I might even have a picture with. It was one of the guys left, the original guys from the Drifters.
Was it Charlie Thomas?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, that's who signed my picture sleeve, Charlie Thomas.
Okay, yeah, it was a brief. We played a few Mommy Indoor Theater things, and I think I played the bass. And we had one of the other guys. He dressed up like Buddy Holly, put the glasses on and had the 50s suit coat on, and it was fun.
Mhm.
It reminded me of that when you said the Drifters.
That reminds me of all the different, when we were talking the other day about the different arenas, like you mentioned the Swanton Coliseum, and I thought, oh my
Mhm.
God, I forgot about that. And then there was a place you said over by LaSalle's at Westgate, and I vaguely remember that too, where they had the Battle of the Bands.
Right behind LaSalle's, if it's called the Vox Battle of the Bands. And if you won, you got a bunch of Vox equipment.
Okay.
And that was outdoors, and they had it was an all-day thing. And I remember you had 20 minutes to play, and that was it. And the guy was out there doing this number, cutting you off.
Got you
And I
off.
remember that the fourth song that we picked to play was Jumping Jack Flash.
Oh, my
Because
favorite.
that was a song that we thought when that guy did this,
Yeah.
you go, Jumping Jack Flash, it's a gas, gas, gas. You could just stop and it wouldn't sound, really, it'd sound like it was
Yeah.
almost planned to do
Right,
that. So we
Right.
picked that song to be the fourth song so we could stop when he gave us the, chop.
Good for you. Good
Yeah,
for
and we
you.
didn't win. We didn't, remember who did, but I remember that's the day I was telling you that Frank Smith had a different band, and it was Gene and I and Denny Gorsuch, and him and Dick Bronson and probably Terry. And I remember, we were kind of like in a unspoken competition with them that day, since we were both from the same school and everything. And neither one of us won, but we probably, in our minds, we should have.
What great memories, though. What, you both have such wonderful memories, and I'm so happy to have you share these with everybody, because one of the things that keeps us young is to go back and look at what we did and how much fun we had and that sort of thing. And I think to share this, and then it just brings up memories for everybody that's listening, the names that you guys mentioned or the music you mentioned, it's just really fun. And that was the goal of my putting this thing together. I just thought, we need to share with each other, kind of put together a circle of Rams and tell different stories and ideas. And today having you guys on, I think is a great first show to do, because music is what kind of puts us all together, connects us and everything. And to have you guys on, and I'm sure people are going to listen and say, oh my God, I forgot about this and I forgot about that, or remember this. And it's like the garage bands in Crossgates. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'd forgotten about all of that sort of thing.
And you know what? I was thinking, I walked around with friends listening to those garage bands. I probably heard Jim play.
You might have.
Probably, especially since Jimmy's band was right there, and Fultz's and your band and everything, And speaking of Jimmy Fultz, he wrote the song that I played this at the beginning of the show, and I'll end this.
That's a nice song. It sounds good. Yeah, I like
him
that.
and Dan Schroeder, together they did that. It was really and it's just bringing us all back together. Before we leave, first of all, I want to thank both of you, because this was really, really fun. And the two of you were so comfortable, and it made the show so comfortable for me, because you just, spoke up and relaxed. It's like we were sitting here having a cup of coffee together. It was perfect.
Hey, Deb, do you want me to ask the trivia question before
That's where we're going. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So before we end, we have a little game that we want to share. And Susan, you want to explain it to them? Go right ahead.
Sure. Okay. I came up with a trivia question that combines our Rogers High School history with music. This question, the answer to this question really cannot be Googled. You have to do some research on this. And the question is, the Rogers High School fight song, that's the one that starts with "Drive, drive on down the field." The Rogers High School fight song gets its melody from which university's fight song? So where did we get the tune for a Rogers High School fight song? It comes from a college fight song. So Deb will be posting that question on Rams Radio here. And if you get the right answer, your name will be put in a drawing for a prize. And that prize will be a CD of songs from your senior year. The CD, or if you want a flash drive, I could make a flash drive. It will be songs from the June before your senior year through May of your senior year. So we encourage people to put your thinking caps on and see if you can come up with the answer. If you submit an answer, please let us know what year you graduated. So good luck.
Yeah, I think this will be fun. Susan is so gracious to put this music together for the winner. And I just love the idea. You'll have your own music from your senior year, from June to May, So I think it's a great little gift. And I want to thank you for doing that. And again, Jim, thank you so much. And
You're
please
welcome.
come back. And if you can get some of those musicians that you talked about, we can get them all on and do an interview. And people would love it, And Eugene too, maybe he'll come on one day and talk to us. So that would be fun. Susan, thank you for all that you do. We will see you every day on Rams Radio. It looks like. I know you have some
Yeah.
things going on in the next couple of months,
Yeah,
but
I will be off Rams Radio for a few days, starting tomorrow because I'm going up to see my dad and my brother. So, but
Nice.
I'll jump back on. Should have a posting today, early tomorrow morning. But then I'll be gone for a couple of days, but I'll jump back on Sunday.
Perfect. So thank you again so much. And we look forward to your post. And Jim, I wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed your music you posted. And I played that and I go, oh, I really like this, you know? So please continue to post some music if you'd like. And you can also put it in the topics. So say Jim Holley music. And then people are looking for your music because you know I forget how many posts. I was trying to find it for this morning's radio show, how many posts we've done, but tens of thousands of posts we've done. So it gets lost. So if it's best if you have something special, put it in the topics.
Okay.
And then
So
people can find it.
okay, I'd just like to say that my stuff is on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
All of it's on YouTube. It's on my first CD is on Spotify. It's on
And
Amazon.
we'll post that
And I
link.
think- yeah, okay. And I think it's on iTunes. I think it's on all of them.
Okay.
A lot of times people don't know, especially that it's on YouTube.
Yeah. No, we'll post those links in that. So anything else you guys want to share?
Don't think so.
Again, thank you for having me. I'm honored. to be
Yes.
part of
Oh,
this.
I'm honored you're here with Rams Radio, and Jim, I'm honored with all your stories and everything. So thanks so much. So we're going to sign off, and don't forget, next Wednesday we have Jeff Sod from the class of 85 and Harold Howell, who is the athletic director currently of Rogers High School. And I know there'll be lots of great conversation there with the program that Rogers has. And Jeff Sod is really a character and lots of fun. So please join us. And I'll share more and more all the people that'll be coming on because we've got some great people to interview and enjoy. So be well, everybody. Take care. And we'll
Take
see
care.
you Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.